Trent in Ohio has been waiting very patiently for all
That's right.
2 hours. So thank you so much for waiting, Trent. We're going to take your question last. How are you, sir?
I'm good. Thanks for taking my question. Hello to both of you.
Well,
Hi, Trent.
Yes, hello. Yeah, so my question is it fair to consider death denial a major function of religion? And just a real quick background as to why I asked that question. I was raised a Christian and was a Christian for most of my life, up until age about 45. And I'm now 65, so that was 20 years ago I became an atheist. But one of the things that led to that, and as you can imagine, there were many, many things that led to that change. But one of them was that facing death, or death itself, is an existential reality that causes many humans fear and anxiety. And of course, one of the solutions for that is some religious beliefs about an afterlife.
right.
So whether that be heaven and hell, or paradise, or reincarnation. So I could see, I guess there's two sides of it. That caused me to re-examine the claims about Christianity and God more specifically, and I realized they just didn't hold up.
Yeah. I think the answer to your question, and you know, I guess we could have done this earlier. My answer is yes. That death denial is a major part of most religions. You can't say all of them because, you know, somebody's religion is gratitude. But for most normative religions that are dealing with the human condition, those that have built up a following, it is quite often about making people comfortable with their own mortality and providing a claim about an afterlife so that, you know, death isn't the end and your loved ones aren't gone and you'll meet them again someday and we'll all be there and the family circle and we'll sing at the feet of Jesus and it'll all be wonderful. It is absolutely a fantasy that attempts to deny the harsh reality of mortality, and without absolutely echoing everything that Andrew said an hour and a half ago, it is the ending of life that gives it more meaning. That is where the value comes from. The fact that you might get a few years to maybe around a century if you're lucky, to explore and learn and love and laugh, that is what makes it valuable. Do you want to laugh every minute for 5 billion years? Because in eternity, you could laugh for 5 billion years and then start doing something else for 5 billion years. It is absolutely a core aspect of this, and one of the things that keeps people in it. Religions exploit our fears, and when they can't exploit the fears that we already have, like a fear of our own mortality, they invent additional fears so that they can be the only ones that provide the solution. It's not enough to be afraid of what happens after I die. Is there anything after this? No. They're going to come in and answer it, and their answer is, yes, there is absolutely something to be terrified of, because this place, you're just here for a short period of time, but your afterlife is forever. Well, hang on. Even with that fantasy, why wouldn't there be an afterlife for the afterlife for the afterlife for the afterlife? It is all about our fears, and they'll exploit every one they can, and when they can't exploit the ones that exist satisfactorily, they will amplify those fears, and they will add to them in many ways. So yeah, I think you're right on the money.
And I guess a further thought on that, and I agree, by the way, immensely that, this life now is what we know we have, so it's quite an amazing gift to have that. But the follow-up question is, I personally have no belief in an afterlife, but I can't prove that there is not one.
Right.
So does this idea still hold up as a valid argument, and maybe that's too strong of a statement, but a valid argument against theism and religion?
No. The mere fact that they're exploiting our fear doesn't mean that they're wrong. You haven't falsified religion just because you're convinced and I'm convinced that they're making up a story for that. It's not enough on its own. If it was, we would have cracked this monster ages ago. But it is a good place to start, in much the same way that I'm not a big fan of the problem of evil as a response to certain religious doctrines. It is still a very useful place to start, and it led a lot of people, sometimes on its own, but along with other things in many cases, to give up their religious beliefs. So pointing out the problems in religion, there is no defeater, no absolute defeater, because the religions that we have now are the ones that manage to duck and dodge around all the other defeaters and wiggle through and make themselves just vague enough and just malleable enough that it's really hard to pin them down. They're slippery little fuckers. But on that note, Trent, I thank you for the call. I got to wrap this show up. Much thanks to you for your patience.